The 4-2-1 loop is fascinating as all heck because it's the most complicated equation in mathematics, and yet the most simplest equation in mathematics. And the number is very simple. It's 3x plus 1. So what it says is any whole number, meaning like any number, any possibility, you plug into 3x plus 1, any number from 1 onwards, any number you plug into 3x plus 1 ends up where? In a 4-2-1 loop. Over and over and over. It will never end. It'll be a 4-2-1 loop forever. And so what is 3x plus 1? It's simple. 3 is a trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, multiplied by any equation, any factors, meaning that no matter what Satan tries, no matter what they try to do, anything you plug into that equation, anything you plug in, so no matter whatever Satan tries, 3 times n, or x, plus 1 is humanity, us, will always end up at 4-2-1 loop and ultimately ending at 1. Perfection. So the equation is basically very simple. It's a 4-2-1 loop, and specifically, that is the most complicated equation in mathematics, period. No one wants to touch it because you can't answer the question, because how does it end up in a 4-2-1 loop? But ultimately what it's saying is no matter what Satan tries, no matter whatever Satan's plans are, no matter what he does, the equation states very clearly the Trinity plus humanity and any random variable will always end up at 1. Period.
If people want to know more about it, it's called the 3x plus 1 phenomenon, or it's also called the Collatz conjecture, Collatz. I just typed it into ChatGPT. They said, no matter what positive number you start with, it always eventually reaches the 4-2-1 loop. No one knows why this happens. I mean, it's so cool.
I'll tell you why. It's one word called God. So, in other words, what the Lord revealed to me is actually a mathematical equation, the Collatz conjecture, and it's a 4-2-1 equation that always ends up at 1. And if you add up 4-2-1 the loop, what do you get? 7. This is insane. And what is specifically saying any whole integer, in other words, anything variable, so no matter what Satan plans, anything, this equation states mathematically God wins.
It's so cool to see stuff like that hardwired into math itself.
This is the most dangerous problem in mathematics, one that young mathematicians are warned not to waste their time on. It's a simple conjecture that not even the world's best mathematicians have been able to solve. Paul Erdős, a famous mathematician, said, "Mathematics is not yet ripe enough for such questions." Here's how it works. Pick a number, any number. 7? Good choice. Okay, we're going to apply 2 rules. If the number is odd, we multiply by 3 and add 1. So 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. If the number is even, we divide by 2. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. Now we keep applying these 2 rules. 11 is odd, so we multiply by 3, 33, and add 1, 34. Even, divide by 2, 17. Odd. Multiply by 3, 51, add 1, 52. Even, divide by 2, 26. Still even. Divide by 2, 13. Odd. So we multiply by 3, 39, add 1, and that's 40, which is even. So we divide by 2, 20, divide by 2, 10, divide by 2, 5. Odd. Multiply by 3, 15, add 1, 16, divide by 2, that's 8, and then 4, 2, and 1. Now 1 is odd, so we multiply by 3 and add 1, which equals 4. But 4 goes to 2 goes to 1, so we're in a loop, and the lowest number is 1. Now the conjecture is this. Every positive integer, if you apply these rules, will eventually end up in the 4-2-1 loop. This is commonly called the Collatz conjecture after German mathematician Lothar Collatz, who may have come up with it in the 1930s. But the problem has many origin stories and many names. It's also known as the Ulam conjecture, Kakutani's problem, Thwaites conjecture, Hass's algorithm, the Syracuse problem, and simply 3n plus 1.
Why is 3x plus 1 so famous?
Among professional mathematicians, maybe it's not famous, but infamous. In the sense that if someone actually admits in public that they're working on it, then there's something wrong with them.
Jeffrey Ligarius is the world authority on 3x plus 1.
The first time I met him, I was a senior in college, and he pulled me aside and he said, "Don't do this. Don't work on this problem. If you want to have a career, do not start spending time writing about this or publishing any papers about this. do real math for a while to establish yourself.
Alex Kontorovich didn't listen. He and Yakov Sinai looked at the paths of the hailstone numbers. Were there any patterns? Well, obviously all of them end up at 1, but what about the paths they take to get there? The pattern is randomness. Here is the sequence of a large number chosen at random. The graph peaks and then drops so low that you can't really see what's happening at this scale. But if you take the logarithm, you find this wiggly graph with a downward trend. It looks kind of like the stock market on a bad day. And this is no coincidence. Both are examples of geometric Brownian motion. That means if you take the log and remove the linear trend, the fluctuations are random. It's like flipping a coin each step. If the coin is heads, the line goes up. Tails, it goes down. 3x plus 1 is just like the random wiggles of the stock market. Over long enough periods, the stock market tends to trend upwards, while 3x plus 1 trends down. One way to visualize these paths of numbers in 3x plus 1 is simply to show how each number connects to the next one in its sequence. This is called a directed graph. It looks like a tree, or a series of little streams that flow into each other. If the conjecture is true, it means that every single number is connected to this graph. Every tiny stream all the way out to infinity eventually flows into the massive river of 4, 2, 1. Some mathematicians have modified this visualization by rotating the graph at each number, anti-clockwise if it's an odd number, and clockwise if it's even. And then you end up with a structure that looks like a coral or seaweed. And by adjusting the degree of rotation for odd and even numbers, you can create these beautiful, organic-looking shapes. And not for lack of trying. Mathematicians have tested by brute force every single number up to 2 to the 68. That's 295 quintillion, 147 quadrillion, 905 trillion, 179 billion, 352 million, 825,856 numbers. We know for certain that every single one of those numbers eventually comes back down to 1. We have tested nearly 300 quintillion numbers, and none of them disproves the conjecture.
You're going to be taught in school that we know a bunch of stuff, and it's a lie. They're all lies. Here's this stupid little problem. Come on. Really? We can't solve this? Really? If anything, it shows that all of the things that we can solve are miracles.
Anything variable, so no matter what Satan plans, anything, this equation states mathematically God wins.